Let me be clear about something right up front. 67% of men stay in relationships they know are dead for an average of 2.3 years before finally leaving. 2.3 years. That's 840 days of your life you'll never get back, wasted on someone who's already checked out. If you're listening to this right now, chances are you already know the answer to the question, should I leave? You're just looking for permission to do what your gut has been screaming at you to do for months, maybe years. Here's the permission you're looking for, brother. If you have to constantly question whether you should stay, you already have your answer. I know you've invested everything into this relationship. Time, money, emotional energy, hope that things will magically get better. You've probably read the books, suggested counseling, worked on your communication skills, bent over backwards trying to make it work. Let me guess, she has zero interest in doing any of that, does she? Things are fine for her. You're the one with the problem. You're too sensitive. You're too demanding. You expect too much. Sound familiar? Society says, never give up on love. Fight for your relationship. Reality is, you can't fight for a relationship when you're the only one in the ring. Society says, every relationship has problems. You just need to work harder. Reality is, working harder in a one-sided relationship just means you're getting exploited faster. Society says, real men don't quit. Reality is, real men don't waste their limited time on earth being disrespected, undervalued, and treated like an ATM with a pulse. Here's what nobody tells you. Relationships only work when two people are putting in the work. Not one person doing 90% while the other does 10%. Not you doing all the heavy lifting while she collects the benefits. Two people. Equal effort, equal commitment, equal respect. From almost a decade of studying what makes relationships succeed or fail, here's the brutal truth. Love by itself, with no action backing it up, will never be enough to save a relationship. Think about it like this. If you stopped showing up to your job, what would happen? You'd be fired. But wait, you might say, I love that job. I would do anything for that job. Doesn't matter. You didn't show up. Your feelings about the job weren't enough of a priority for you to do what was required to keep it. The same logic applies to relationships, but somehow we've been brainwashed into thinking it doesn't. Your relationship requires both people to show up consistently, or it dies. Closeness and connection with another human demand certain things from both partners. Things like trust and safety and the ability to apologize and take accountability. It requires consideration and empathy and respect. If you forget everything else from this, remember this. You will never feel close to someone who has no interest in those things. You can keep trying to change them. You can keep wondering if things will be better eventually. You can keep dating their potential instead of their reality. But at the end of the day, relationships always require two people putting in the work to make them work. Let's talk about the hard numbers, because this is where it gets really ugly. Almost half of first marriages end in divorce. 60% of second marriages end. 70% of third marriages end. These aren't opinions, fellas. These are facts. All those $50,000 weddings you go to, all those newly married couples that seem so in love and hopeful. It's literally a coin flip, whether they'll make it or not. That should concern all of us, especially men our age who've already been through the fire. If you're with someone who only thinks about themselves, refuses to take any accountability when they mess up, rarely if ever is curious about your inner world, and has no interest in your feelings or needs or desires or dreams, it's not even close. It's not even a discussion. You have to leave that relationship. You might say, but I love her. Brother, love is not enough. Love without respect is abuse. Love without reciprocity is exploitation. Love without accountability is manipulation. Here's the truth nobody wants to tell you. The relationship you're in right now is probably already over. You're just too afraid to admit it. You're clinging to the memory of who she used to be, or the fantasy of who you hoped she would become, instead of dealing with the reality of who she actually is right now. According to research from the Gottman Institute, there are specific behaviors that predict divorce with 94% accuracy. They call them the 4 horsemen: criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. If your relationship has all 4 of these patterns, it's not a matter of if it ends, it's a matter of when. And brother, if you're experiencing contempt from your partner, that's the single biggest predictor of relationship failure. Contempt means she's lost respect for you, and once respect is gone, love doesn't matter anymore. Let me break down what you're probably experiencing right now, and tell me if this sounds familiar. You're walking on eggshells constantly, never knowing what's going to set her off. You've stopped sharing your real feelings because every time you try to be honest, it gets used against you later. You feel more alone in the relationship than you did when you were actually single. You've become an ATM and a handyman, not a partner. Your needs, your goals, your dreams have become completely irrelevant. You can't remember the last time she asked about your day and actually listened to the answer. Sex has become transactional or non-existent. You feel like you're constantly being tested and you're always failing. Sound about right? Here's what's really happening. You're in a one-sided relationship, and you've been conditioned to believe that if you just try harder, sacrifice more, be more patient, be less demanding, things will get better. They won't. She's showing you exactly who she is. Believe her. The average man waits until he's absolutely destroyed emotionally before he finally leaves. He waits until his self-esteem is shattered, his confidence is gone, his finances are wrecked, and he's questioning his own sanity. Don't be that guy. There's a massive difference between a relationship that's going through a rough patch and needs work versus a relationship that's fundamentally broken because one person refuses to be a partner. Here's how you know the difference. In a rough patch, both people acknowledge there's a problem and are willing to work on it together. In a broken relationship, only you see the problem, and you're expected to fix it alone. In a rough patch, both people take accountability for their part in the issues. In a broken relationship, everything is always your fault somehow. In a rough patch, there's still respect and kindness even when you're fighting. In a broken relationship, there's contempt, criticism, and cruelty. In a rough patch, both people are committed to rebuilding connection. In a broken relationship, you're the only one trying to connect while she's already emotionally checked out. Let's talk about what you need to do if you're realizing you're in a broken relationship. First, you need to get brutally honest with yourself about the situation. Stop making excuses for her behavior. Stop telling yourself it'll get better. Stop blaming yourself for not being enough. Look at the facts. Look at her actions, not her words. Is she consistently showing up for you? Is she treating you with respect? Is she interested in your life, your feelings, your needs? Is she willing to work on the relationship when problems arise? If the answer to these questions is no, you're not in a partnership. You're in a hostage situation. Second, stop doing the work of two people. This is critical. You cannot save a relationship by yourself. You've been trying, and it's not working, is it? All you're doing is enabling her to keep treating you like you're disposable while you exhaust yourself trying to keep things afloat. Stop. Just stop. Let the relationship be what it actually is without you propping it up. See what happens when you're not the only one holding it together. Third, have the hard conversation. Tell her directly, this relationship doesn't work for me the way it is. Not I'm unhappy sometimes, or I wish things were different. No. Be clear. Be direct. This relationship, as it currently exists, is not sustainable for me. You need to tell her exactly what needs to change, and you need to see if she's willing to put in the work to change it. Not just talk about changing, not just promise she'll try. Actually change. Actions, not words. Fourth, set a timeline in your head. I'm not saying give her an ultimatum out loud, but you need to have a deadline for yourself. If things haven't substantially improved in 3 to 6 months, you need to be prepared to walk away. Real change happens quickly when both people are committed. If she's not making real changes in 3 to 6 months, she's not going to make them ever. She's hoping you'll just accept this as the new normal and stop complaining. Fifth, get your exit plan ready. This isn't being pessimistic. This is being smart. If you're married, talk to a lawyer confidentially about what divorce would look like. If you're living together, figure out the logistics of separating. Get your finances in order. Make sure you have your own bank account she can't access. Start documenting patterns of behavior that concern you. Not because you're definitely leaving, but because you need to protect yourself if things go south. Here's what happens when you start taking these steps. One of two things. Either she realizes you're serious and she actually steps up and becomes a real partner, or she doubles down on the dysfunction because she's more interested in control than in having a healthy relationship. Either way, you get clarity. And brother, clarity is what you need right now. You've been living in this fog of confusion and false hope for too long. Let me tell you what happens if you don't leave a broken relationship. You lose years of your life that you could have spent either building something real with someone who actually values you, or enjoying your freedom and peace as a single man. Your self-esteem gets destroyed piece by piece until you don't even recognize yourself anymore. You become bitter, resentful, and angry, which then affects every other area of your life. Your health suffers because chronic stress from a toxic relationship literally shortens your lifespan. Your finances get drained supporting someone who views you as a utility, not a partner. You model for your kids, if you have them, that this is what relationships look like, and they repeat the same dysfunctional patterns in their own lives. Is that what you want? Because that's what staying in a dead relationship gives you. Now let me tell you what happens when you do leave. The first few months are hard. Really hard. You'll second-guess yourself. You'll miss the good times, even though they were rare. You'll feel lonely. You'll wonder if you made the right choice. This is normal. Push through it. After about 3 to 6 months, you'll start to feel something you haven't felt in years. Peace. No more walking on eggshells. No more anxiety about what mood she'll be in when you get home. No more feeling inadequate and criticized constantly. No more begging for basic respect and affection. Just peace. And then you'll start rebuilding yourself. You'll remember who you were before this relationship beat you down. You'll start doing things you enjoy again. You'll have time for your friends, your hobbies, your goals. You'll have money to spend on yourself instead of constantly trying to keep her happy. You'll sleep better. You'll feel lighter. You'll actually start to feel like yourself again. And here's what else happens. You become a warning sign for other men. When your friends complain about their relationships, you'll be able to spot the red flags immediately because you've lived through them. You'll be able to tell them the hard truths they need to hear. You'll be able to say, "Brother, I've been where you are, and I'm telling you, it doesn't get better if she's not willing to do the work." Listen, I'm not telling you to give up at the first sign of trouble. I'm not saying every relationship is supposed to be perfect. Marriage is hard. Relationships are hard. There's no such thing as a perfect partner or a perfect relationship, but there's a massive difference between hard and toxic. There's a massive difference between working through challenges together versus you doing all the work while she reaps all the benefits. There's a massive difference between a partner who struggles but tries versus a partner who refuses to even acknowledge there's a problem. You need to learn the difference, and you need to be willing to walk away when you're in the wrong situation, because here's the final truth nobody wants to hear. The relationship you're in right now is either adding to your life or subtracting from it. There's no neutral. If you're constantly drained, constantly stressed, constantly questioning your worth, constantly feeling alone, that relationship is destroying you slowly. And you have two choices. You can either change the relationship by demanding better and being willing to walk away if you don't get it, or you can leave the relationship and start rebuilding your life. What you can't do is stay in a broken relationship and expect things to magically get better while you do nothing different. So here's what I'm asking you to do today. Get honest with yourself about your situation. Write down, on paper, what your relationship actually looks like day to day. Not what it used to be, not what you hope it could be, what it actually is right now. Then ask yourself, would I recommend this relationship to my son? Would I want my daughter to be treated the way I'm being treated? If the answer is no, why are you accepting it for yourself? Stop making excuses. Stop waiting for her to change. Stop hoping that if you just try one more thing, it'll finally click for her. She knows what she's doing. She just doesn't care enough to change it because there's no consequences. You keep staying no matter how she treats you, so why would she change? Have the hard conversation. Tell her directly what needs to change. Watch her actions, not her words. Give it a reasonable timeline. And if nothing substantially improves, walk away with your head held high knowing you did everything you could. You're not giving up on love by leaving a toxic relationship. You're choosing yourself. You're choosing peace. You're choosing to have standards for how you deserve to be treated. And brother, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's the healthiest thing you could possibly do. To every man listening who's in a relationship that's destroying him from the inside out, I see you. I know what you're going through. I know how hard it is to even consider leaving, especially if you have kids, financial entanglements, or years invested. But you deserve better than this. You deserve a partner who shows up for you the way you show up for them. You deserve respect, affection, consideration, and teamwork. And if you're not getting those things, and she has no interest in changing, it's time to walk away. Not next year. Not after you try one more thing. Now, because every day you stay in a relationship that's destroying you is a day of your life you're never getting back. And brother, your time on this earth is limited. Don't waste it begging someone to treat you like you matter. Share this message with a brother who needs to hear it. Too many good men are suffering in silence, thinking they're alone, thinking they're the problem, thinking they just need to try harder. They need to know the truth. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from something that's destroying you, even if you love it. Welcome to the brotherhood of men who chose themselves. We're out here, we're rebuilding, and we're not apologizing for demanding respect. Your peace is worth fighting for. And sometimes, fighting for your peace means walking away from the war. Drop a comment if this hit home for you. Let's build a community of men who refuse to settle for less than mutual respect, effort, and partnership.